3AW, the real estate show, thanks to Rain and Horn. With 141 years in Australian real estate, trust Rain and Horn to guide your real estate journey.
Jayden Manno, a licensed real estate agent, auctioneer with Rain and Horn in the Sunbury, Gisborne, Diggers Rest, Kyneton and Essendon offices. Thanks for coming in, Jayden, on this Saturday. Good to see you.
Darren, thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you were born into the business just about, weren't you, with your mum and dad fully involved?
Absolutely. Dad had the offices, of course. Mum was the receptionist. Weekends, school holidays, it's all I did, real estate. It's all I know.
And that's all you know, and you know a lot about it. And today we wanted to talk about buying new construction, or do you buy an older home? And gee, from someone as with my experience, the first and only house that we've owned was a Victorian weatherboard.
Ooh,
the maintenance
nice.
on that, for goodness sake.
Would have had some nice period features though, Darren.
Beautiful house, high ceilings.
Yeah. Decorative cornices, no doubt.
Decorative cornices, a bit of stained glass. Yeah. But gee, the upkeep and painting bills were pretty
you would
steep.
have had to paint it every 10 years, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap.
No, it's certainly not.
So,
no.
but looking at the newer places these days, you wonder about, from watching shows like The Block, and you have Keith that goes around saying, hang on, you're a tradie, you've done that incorrectly. If he finds that many faults with how the tradies are performing on The Block, what are other builders and tradies doing when building a new house?
Yeah, look, that is something to be watchful of when buying a new home. I think the key is making sure that you pick a builder that you trust, do your research, check the reviews, and make sure that you can employ building inspectors to help you along the way during the construction process, just to make sure that when you do finally settle in your new home, that you're getting something that was built well.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want good craftsmanship. You want a solid house, a good roof over your head.
And a stress-free lifestyle.
That's what you want.
Absolutely.
133-693. If there are any real estate questions at all, give us a call. Anything you would like to ask Jayden, feel free to call that number, 133-693. What about repairs and upkeep and roofs? You have that checked out if you're buying an existing place, but like the Victorian house, the weatherboard, a lot more maintenance is required there rather than a brick, isn't it, obviously?
In a weatherboard, absolutely. You want to make sure that, your timber panels are in good nick. A lot of the older period homes as well have the old, you probably saw this in the 60s and 70s, they had the cladding covering the weatherboard. So you just want to make sure the timber underneath that cladding's in good shape.
Remember the cladding?
Yeah.
What was that made out of?
Oh, well, you had
cladding.
Well, you had the brick cladding, which was a lot of the time made of asbestos.
Yeah, it was too.
Yeah, which obviously isn't as scary as people think it is, as long as it's in one piece.
Yeah.
But of course, you had the plastic cladding as well, which was pretty popular in the 60s and 70s and perhaps maybe early 80s also.
Yeah.
Which were great. You didn't have to repaint those.
No, that's true.
The paint didn't fade on the plastic.
That's right, on the plastic.
Yeah.
The other advantage, I guess, of buying brand new is you can, with your architect or your draftsman or whoever, design it the way you want it.
Well, you don't have to go open for inspection Saturday to Saturday trying to find the perfect home. You can just build it yourself. You can get your ceiling height, your flooring, the kitchen, how you want it. Very important.
How many people do undertake the task of buying a block of land and building their own home?
Look, quite a few of them. I do a lot of work out in the Sunbury area and a lot of development going on in Sunbury, a lot of the brand new estates. And look, it's growing exponentially. A lot of young buyers, young families, young couples are buying brand new. It's a lot of the time affordable. The land sizes are smaller, so the upkeep is less. And they're getting into, again, a brand new home that really doesn't need a lot of work to do once you're in there.
Yeah, you hit on a key there. You're saying smaller blocks of land, which means bigger houses, which means smaller yards, which means lesser trees. And just on the horizon of the new estates, you can see a shimmering mirage off the roof tiles.
You certainly can.
And very little greenery, which worries me.
Yeah, look, the developers are doing a great job in putting a lot of green space. I know the new estates that I work in, there are a lot of parks, a lot of trees, waterways and ponds and dams, etc. So, look, they're doing their best to counteract that. But sure, I mean, the new estates, more houses, lesser or smaller backyards.
Yeah, smaller backyards for sure. Are there any incentives for building brand new?
Well, there are. So if you're a first home buyer and you buy a brand new home that's never been lived in, the government will give you $10,000 up to the purchase price of $750,000.
$10K?
$10K, which is pretty good.
That's
Absolutely.
handy.
Yeah. That might buy you a nice new oven. Nice new bench top without it.
Actually, it doesn't go that far when you think about it, does it?
Absolutely not.
Throw in a dishwasher and an oven and you're getting close to close to the 10.
Well, I was going to say you might be able to upgrade it to a nice German model.
Yeah, or the Wolf that Rob Sinclair tells us about. Have you heard of Wolf?
I haven't heard of Wolf, but there are a lot of brands that get around out of Europe that are pretty pricey.
Yeah.
The Falcon's up there.
Yeah.
Ilvi's pretty up there as well in price.
Yeah. Now, what about being close to the city? Doesn't matter if it is buying the land and building your own or getting an existing house. It's all about location, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing about buying existing. If you're buying existing, Darren, you're usually going to be closer to town centres, closer to the city, transport, schooling, shops and restaurants. So, there's obviously that benefit as well, whereas if you're buying a brand new house, it's probably going to be a little bit further out of the big smoke, so to speak. But, a lot of existing homes are in great condition as well. Yeah,
that's right. And if they're presented beautifully and you've got to get the building inspection done, there's not much wrong with it, is there?
Well, absolutely not. I did an auction just in Glenroy last week, and the owner did everything right. They repolished the floors, repainted, make sure the property was in excellent nick. 25-year-old unit, sold it remarkably well. Every building inspection just ticked every box. There was no issue. So
lovely.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefit to buying existing if it's a well-maintained home.
And see, the other thing is, if it's there, you can see it, you can walk around, it has a vibe. But on a plan, it's hard to have that, how it's going to look once it is finished,
Well, I had an old
it's not
boss,
there, is it?
I had an old boss used to say, if it's existing, you can touch it, you can chew on it, but if it's off the plan, you can't.
That's
you have to use your imagination a bit, certainly.
Yeah, you do. Neil has called through. Hi, Neil. How you doing?
That's my name too.
Yeah, good day, Neil. How you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. I just went past the block and they're putting up a new house using the, I think it's the blue scope steel they use on the block and everything. And
yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer that it'll be, everything stays straight and there's no worries about problems down the road. Why isn't it being used more? Is it too expensive?
Well, steel frames certainly are a bit more expensive than timber frames. A lot of benefit to steel frame, of course. Structurally, there are more sound. You don't have the risk of, say, termites that you might with timber.
Yeah.
But, of course, timber is obviously a little bit cheaper, which results in a cheaper home at the end of the day.
But what's the difference in price?
The exact difference, Neil, I couldn't tell you, but I could probably find the answer for you.
But the other thing is, Neil, you're right. When we were growing up, you used to see houses being built in your neighbourhood, and they'd all be timber, wouldn't they? You'd see the frame go up fairly quickly, and it was all timber. And I reckon the steel's only been a sort of fairly recent thing.
Yeah, it's only recent, and especially being promoted on the block so heavily. My pa was a carpenter, or what they call him, a builder these days. He built stacks and stacks of homes, but this is a no-brainer. And if the difference in price is like 5%, then the advantages would far outweigh the extra 5%,
Yeah.
But if it's a 50% difference, then I can understand why it's not happening.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I bet you the houses that he built, Neil, are still solid and existing and upright and looking good.
They knew how to build them in those days.
They knew how to build them. All with things called hammers, no power tools, were there?
Hammers and nails.
Hammers and nails.
He had his own crew, they were uncles to me, but Uncle Bill was the plumber.
Yeah.
Uncle Rolfie was the electrician, and they weren't called builders. He was a carpenter, so Uncle was a plumber, but they worked together, they knew each other, and everything was prepped properly and done properly, and no issues. And I don't know where the Jerry built thing came from. I don't know, there must have been some pretty ordinary builders around as well, but I know the stuff that my pa built, they're still there,
Yeah, they're still standing. Good on you, Neil. Appreciate the call. More calls coming up. The number 133693. Jayden Manno is here, real estate agent for Rain and Horn from the Sunbury Gisborne Diggers Rest Kyneton and Essendon offices. Jayden Manno is here from Rain and Horn to Dave. Good morning.
Good morning, fellas. Jayden, just wondering, my mate's trying to about getting his home prepared for sale. And outside of talking to the real estate agent, I was wondering if there are any specialists that will come in and give you an idea of where you should spend your money on preparing the home for sale. I mean, his ideas of what he was going to do after living in the house for 30 years was very different to me, looking at it with a different set of eyes. So is there anyone like that?
Yeah, spot on, Dave. Well, look, the real estate agent's probably the first point of call, because I suppose the benefit we have is we meet all the buyers in the area. We sort of know what they're looking for. We know what they look for as well. So having the agent in there to give you some pointers is pretty valuable. But aside from the agent, an interior decorator, I actually have an interior decorator that I bring in to the properties that I sell to give the owner an idea of how best to present the property, because they're experts at furniture placing, making a property a room rather seem bigger with the right furniture. And I guess having a handyman in there as well to touch up the little cracks in the corners and the scratches in the floorboards, etc. Interior decorators, handymen, and certainly lean on the agent for his database of contacts as well.
Which area is it in, Dave?
Somerville.
Somerville. Well, I'm sure I'd probably know some people out that way, Dave. If you like, we can certainly flick some people your way.
Yeah, good on you, Dave. Are you in the car, Dave?
Yep.
Where are you heading?
Just heading home, mate. Drive time tip for you. People, avoid the Peninsula link if you can. It's chockers going down to the Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah, I was coming from the Peninsula and it was smooth sailing for me, but in the other direction it was chockers.
Chockers, was it?
Yep.
Yes, I bet you people have gone out last night and thought, well, we'll head down to the beach on Saturday. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Dave, for the call. Appreciate it. If you were to build a car out of spare parts alone, there's been scientific experiments done, and apparently the cost is like 50 times more than actually buying the car once you buy all the spare parts and put it together. In regards to real estate, there's a house near us, and it was a beautiful, quaint, single-fronted brick terrace house, and apparently it almost literally fell down. They were told they had to keep the facade, and they could build beyond that. Mm-hmm. And then they did did the work and thought it's cheaper for us to knock it down and recreate it to within an inch of its life. And I thought, they won't do it. But to their credit, this beautiful old-looking house is brand new. It's the what is it called? The pin tucking, is it? The brickwork?
Tuck pointing in the brickwork?
Yes.
Absolutely.
They've done the LED lighting. You cannot pick that it's not an old
Some of these
place.
Some of these period reproductions are very convincing. Very convincing. And you're right. To recreate a period home with period materials is really expensive, time-consuming, and sometimes quite impossible. But I have seen, especially around Ascot Vale, Moonee Ponds, Essendon.
So it is done?
Absolutely, yeah. And some of them are done really, really well.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of in a period streets, for instance, like that, where the council has said, we needed you to reproduce that. But then a few doors down, there's a totally modern-looking joint which just doesn't match the older style.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of that period protection came in the mid-'80s. I want to say 85.
Yeah.
Someone will probably correct me on that. So what you'll find is you'll drive past homes in Essendon and those areas that are all California bungalows, Federation Homes Victorians, and then you'll see the European style brown brick right in the middle.
Iron.
Yeah, that's the one with the concrete line out front. Which those are built really well too. Those homes,
solid as a
they
rock,
would survive any natural disaster, but they don't really fit the picture of the street, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic stuff. We're almost there. We're talking real estate here on 3AW for Rain and Horn. Jayden Manno is here. If you want to call, feel free, 133 693. Jayden Manno is here from Rain and Horn. You're right, Jayden. It's like Adrian Richardson, who's closed all his restaurants. There's nothing wrong, we were just saying, about having Good Friday and, say, an Easter Saturday or Sunday where things aren't open and you just can get together as a family and have a meal together. Like you with who was it, your mum?
My mum and my grandmother are militant about everyone being together Good Friday. The one day of the year, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, the whole family needs to converge at my grandmother's place for Good Friday lunch.
Even if you're in Botswana, you got to fly home.
Fly in and fly back the next day. That's the rule.
And also, you're doing something controversial in the world of real estate. You're having your open for inspections next week with Anzac Day on Anzac Day.
I'm going to do them on Anzac Day on the Friday. I experimented with it last year on Grand Final Friday as well.
Right.
So I figured most people are going to be away for the Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
But they'll probably be around on the Friday. So we'll do our open for inspections on the Friday. Get everyone to enjoy the homes, view the homes, and then go off and enjoy their weekends with their families.
That's a good theory. I hope it goes well.
Thanks.
And we'll chat again next Saturday
Looking
anyway.
forward to it.